Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning. How are we doing today, guys?
We're not doing good, Jenny.
Not doing good.
I thought you told me LeBron's the GOAT. He's disqualified after that performance. I'm sorry, it's over and it's out.
I've been told you it was over.
Huh?
I've been told you it was over for this year.
LeBron keeps telling us after every game. He basically quit. He should just go on home.
Well, it looked like they quit last night, didn't
They did. Yeah.
Maybe wasn't the best showing. That's a tough way to start the show for you guys. We do have the trade deadline today, so we'll obviously be monitoring all that if there are any moves. But, you know, since Shannon isn't doing so good today, let's talk about why. Despite 30 points from LeBron and being huge favorites entering the game, the Lakers fell to the undermanned Blazers 107-105. Russell Westbrook missed his first game of the year, officially listed out with back tightness, but LA still managed to have 21 turnovers without him. That's never a good sign. Shannon, how do you explain what happened last night in Portland, please?
Offer without explanation. They mailed this one in. Get this bottom of the barrel. You can't get any lower than this. They lost to a team that had just lost. I think Orlando beat the brakes off them. Had just beat the brakes off them. Now,
And by the way, they'd lost Portland 5 straight at home.
at home,
And 6 straight overall. Go ahead.
you would have thought, okay, there's no Russ. We had talked about it just yesterday, Skip. Damn, Russ the only one that don't miss any games. Everybody else done miss 10 games, 5 games, DMP, coach's decision. All of a sudden, Russ comes up with a phantom back tightness.
All of a sudden, yeah.
So this is an
Lower back tightness?
Right. This is an opportunity to say, see,
Thank you.
remove this.
Yeah.
You go ahead and beat them by 20. Everything's all well.
Was AD there?
AD was there.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't tell he was there.
Good point.
Skip, this is embarrassing. 21 turnovers. LeBron had 6 of those turnovers. AD refused to shoot the basketball in the fourth quarter. Skip, what was that? AD plays 41 minutes and gives you 17 and 7. Skip, AD took 11 shots. Is he protesting? Does he want to leave? So I don't want. Look, LeBron said, you know, there's this fog, you know, blah blah blah. Skip, that ain't got nothing to do with you. Skip, they could have an announcement. FS1 is having layoffs. Until they say, Shannon, your services are no longer required, I'm going to show up and do my damn job. What got going on the trade deadline? This guy might come, that got nothing to do with you. You get paid to play.
That is correct.
I mean, what the hell is this? LeBron James and Anthony Davis are supposed, I don't care who else they have, me, you, Jenny, the camera guy, we're supposed to be the Anthony Simons-led Portland Trailblazer team. That is factual. But what happened? They show up bull jiving. I don't know what that was last night. That was embarrassing. 18 points in the first quarter. I could tell right away. I said, y'all on some bull jive tonight. Y'all on some bull jive. That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Anthony Davis and LeBron James, that is on you. I'm not going to mention anybody else. That's on you. One guy I said is the greatest player of all time. The other guy's a perennial all-star, is as elite in both ends of the area as we have in the league. And you lose to that team? Who the hell is C.J. Ellaby?
He's a second rounder out of Washington State 2 years ago. Ask me another one.
Dennis Smith Jr. has been on half the NBA teams in only his 5th year.
Justice Winslow started last night and played 34 minutes. He's been on, this is his 4th team in 3 years. Keep going. How about Trendon Watford?
Yeah, who is he? Where did he come from?
He's undrafted, a rookie out of LSU, undrafted.
Okay, what about Greg Brown the third?
How about Greg Brown the third? He's a second-round rookie out of Texas. How about Keljin Blevins? Happens to be Dame's cousin. I guess he's kind of a distant cousin, but he's a G-leaguer who was undrafted out of Montana State.
Well,
these guys are playing big minutes last night for the Snail Blazers.
But you know what happens, Skip? When you turn the ball over, you'll get only 2 guys with double-digit in shots. You know why? Because you're turning it over, and so you're not able to get the ball up on the rim. And then in the fourth quarter, that was a terrible turnover by Bron because it looks like. And then somebody Dennis Johnson Jr. throws up a shot.
It was just horrendous.
And then guess what? Everybody just standing around. You gonna get it?
And Nurk went and got it out of his body bag that LeBron once put him in. Remember that?
Nurkic outplayed AD.
He outplayed him. He had 19 and 12.
Nurkic. Yusef Nurkic. Now, this is an AD that just gave it to Joel Embiid.
He did. He gave it to him.
Since he's been back, he's given you 28, 29, 11, 12, 17, 15 rebounds. You give me 7 rebounds in 41 minutes?
What's AD's history, especially with well, let's just go back to the Pelicans. What's his history? Way up and way not.
The consistency.
Right? Yeah,
and that is the problem with
effort.
Look, all this loss, we can talk about Frankie V and the lineups, and we can't get no. When you got those two guys, you're supposed to win this game again for Anthony Simons-led basketball team. That is fact. This was embarrassing. Now, I don't know. Look, maybe blow it all up. This is not on Russ. Russ was sitting down in street clothes blowing bubbles. So he had nothing to do with this. Anthony Davis and LeBron James, this game is on you, and your performances last night was unacceptable. I ain't talking about Tucker. I'm not talking about Monk or Reza. I'm not talking about anybody, Stanley Johnson. Anthony Davis and LeBron, you cost us this game.
That is correct. Thank you for your honesty and your harsh objectivity when it comes to your man, LeBron James, and your second man, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, this is unacceptable.
Unacceptable. And by the way, the great James Worthy, who for our younger viewers was a star among stars on the Showtime Lakers once upon a time, long ago back in the 80s and early 90s. James Worthy is now an analyst on the local Sports Spectrum LA, which carries the games here in Southern California. And as it got thrown to the studio, he immediately said, "That's the worst Laker loss I can ever remember. Ever.
Yes.
In all his days watching Laker games, he couldn't remember a hit bottom Laker loss worse than that one."
Neither can I.
And by the way, I also would like to frame this with the fact that the the Trailblazers are in total meltdown, reload, rebuild, right?
Yeah.
They're just obviously there's no Dame, now there's no CJ. They just gave up 2 of their best players to the Clippers, and in return, they wind up with Josh Hart, who did not play last night, surprisingly to me, and Eric Bledsoe, they got back, did not play last night. So you don't even have your returns on these recent trades, right?
Right.
And yet, here's the shocker of the night. Your Lakers come out firing from 3, so you can't say they mailed it in from 3 because they didn't.
They made 17.
They made 17 of ultimately 37. That's 46%. If I told you going into this game that your Lakers, who by the way were anywhere from a 9 to a 9.5 point favorite at Portland because of this tear down rebuild, 9.5 point favorite going in. If I told you you're going to make 17 threes tonight, what would you tell me? We win by 30.
And shoot 55% from the field. Oh, yeah, we got it. It was a 25-point win, Skip.
Really?
25-point win, yeah.
And by the way, even in the fourth quarter when it tightened up, you did make 4 of 8 threes. Well, that's pretty great for a fourth quarter. That'll work usually. Unfortunately, Portland made 5 of 8. But Portland for the game made, they got, remember, they were 1 for 13 in their first 13 threes, and they wound up getting all the way to 10 of 32. But you outscored them by 21 points from the three-point line. Usually when that happens, almost notoriously when that happens, the visiting team is going to win that game, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't, because everything else went wrong. Points in the paint, all the little big things, that they were all Portland all night long.
7 turnovers in the fourth quarter.
7 turnovers. It won't work. Neither will 21 turnovers for the game. And here was the shock of shocks for me. To your point, Russell Westbrook had played every single game. Russell Westbrook was leading the NBA in minutes played, which is good news and really bad news for you because he's been pretty much a debacle of a disaster, of a nightmare, of a liability. He was the one player you can't overcome, you can't win in spite of. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, to your point, they say before the game he has lower back tightness. So he played all those games. What was it, 55 games? High level, high minutes played. And all of a sudden he's got lower back tightness. And coincidentally, he got benched for the last 3 minutes of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter of the previous
night.
Skip,
you sit down for too long, your back will tighten up.
That's what I was thinking. I told Ernestine that last night. You know, if you sit too long, if you sat for a long time, you just get all stiff. That's why I always get up every commercial break.
You get up, walk, and stand.
Because I ran in the morning, and if I sit here too long, it'll all get all tight, and I don't like it. So I guess he just sat for too long, and he couldn't go in the back-to-back at Portland.
Correct.
or maybe he was protesting, or maybe
they were protesting.
Maybe,
now, we don't want you to get nicked because we got big plans for you tomorrow.
Okay, well then that would be dream come true. That would mean that he was sat again against his wishes because he's about to exit stage left.
Right.
Well, that would be I keep telling you, you got one shot, one hope, and that is to get rid of Russell Westbrook by, 4 Eastern? Is it 3 Eastern or 4? I can't remember. 3 Eastern. 3 Eastern, correct, today, okay? So that's your only hope. So were they putting him on ice, in mothballs just to protect him?
Okay.
I would hope that's what was happening, but I don't think that's what was happening.
Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, that was the case. We don't want anything to happen. We're going to put him in glass because we don't want anything. We don't want a nick. We don't want a chip. We don't want anything. Explain the performance of LeBron and AD.
Because it was on a silver platter against that team.
Thank you.
For LeBron and AD to say, okay, watch this.
We about to go get 75 between the two of us.
Watch us operate. Watch us pick and roll. And by the way, I kept, listen, this was the one game where I said, I circled the date on the calendar. I'm going to go to bed at a reasonable hour on this one because it's going to be over by halftime. And it really wasn't over by halftime. LeBron made a lucky bounce 3 at the end of the first half where it bounced straight up in the air off the back iron and went straight through. And that made it a 7-point game. And I said, you know what? The Blazers ain't going anywhere. They're going to be right there.
Yep.
So I'm staying up.